Now, which do you think would be easier? Not eating the cookie you're craving when you're hungry, or having the cookie and going on a 2-mile walk? When you have days where you're at your worst, a bad day at work, life stresses, going out on a Friday night, etc., your willpower to not eat that delectable salted caramel chocolate chip cookie. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can lose fat fast and have your cake and eat it too. Quite literally. Make sure to stay at the end of the video for the best tips where I show you how you can enjoy your favorite foods every day and still lose weight and the best cardio to do so. Let's get started. Now, during a fat loss phase, eventually you will break and cave into that manna from heaven itself. I'm absolutely positive that's the case for a lot of you, especially if you go weeks or months into losing fat. Remember, the body wants to survive. Each week into your fat loss phase will be harder and harder to stay the course. During my fat loss phases, I regularly go on a 1 or 2 mile walk, usually after dinner. Studies have shown that walking right after a meal helps with blood sugar levels, and especially if you can stack it close to some other activity or event, it'll make it that much easier. When I go on these walks, I work on writing scripts for these videos, or watch a video I've been wanting to see, or listen to an audiobook. I've even heard of some bodybuilders that play video games while walking on their treadmill. Multitasking while burning calories is an ultimate life hack. Now, how far should you walk? And is walking the best cardio you should do? Well, it all depends. Here's what I mean. A lot of how much cardio you do and what type of cardio you do comes down to fatigue and how fast you lose fat. Using previous examples of job stress, life stress, etc., how often and how long can you manage the level of cardio that you decide to do? For example, you may pick the ambitious goal of walking 3 miles a day, every day for the next 4 to 6 weeks. For the most part, walking 1 mile results in 100 calories burned. That's an oversimplification. There are some differences here and there, but even with all that in mind, we are in a pretty accurate ballpark. So walking 1 mile results in an extra 100 calories burned, 2 miles burns 200 calories, so on and so forth. So walking 3 miles every day for the next 4 to 6 weeks means 300 extra calories burned a day. And since there are 7 days in a week, that's 2,100 extra calories burned per week, on top of everything else. That's pretty good. Or is it? You may do well the first week and maybe even the second and third weeks, but maybe you leave work late most of your week on the 4th week and you're exhausted from the big project your boss has you on. Are you going to want to go home and walk 3 miles right after dinner, in addition to any errands you have to run, dinner to cook, a weightlifting session you still have to do? You may call it in and not do any additional cardio for that 4th week, and that leads to no cardio the 5th and 6th weeks. You get the idea. Now, if it was only 1 mile you had to walk every day, it'd obviously be easier to stick to than 3 miles. Even though it's only 700 extra calories burned a week compared to 21 extra calories burned a week. Now, we can be nitpicky and choose to walk 3 miles on Saturday and Sunday, 1 mile Monday through Friday, and that's totally fine. It really is up to you, depending on what you can tolerate that day or week, your time, and as long as it isn't interfering with any of your weightlifting sessions. Running can get the 1, 2, or 3+ miles of cardio you do a lot faster than walking can, if time is limited, with also more impact and stress on your lower body and back compared to walking. So this might affect how much weight you can lift on your leg days. HIIT training or sprints can be even more stressful on the body, taking longer to recover from and decreasing the amount of sessions you can do per week, and therefore limiting the amount of calories you burn each week. Okay, Caden, what if I do non-impact cardio, like the fan bike or the elliptical or rowing, but at a running or sprinting pace? Is that the ultimate cardio hack? Again, there are a lot of other factors to consider than how it stresses your body. Could you sustain that if you're having a bad day or a week? How quickly can you recover from that? Does it affect your weightlifting performance? This study compared 3 different cardio protocols: steady state cardio for 20 minutes at 90% inventory threshold, Tabatas, which are 8 intervals of 20 seconds of work at a very high intensity of 170% VO2 max with 10 seconds of rest, and 13 sets of 30 seconds of work at 100% PVO2 max with 60 seconds of recovery for 20 minutes with an average power output of 90% inventory threshold. Each group did 24 training sessions in total for 8 weeks. The results showed that all groups increased their cardiovascular health, with the results slightly favoring the Tabata group, but there was a significant decrease in enjoyment in the Tabata group compared to the other groups. Could you imagine doing that Tabata program for 8 weeks, straight for 24 total sessions? That's absolutely nuts. Be honest with yourself. How long would you keep that up for? Sustainability is an important key when losing weight. Could you perform at that high level of intensity for the time frame you have for losing weight? On the other hand, the systematic review and meta-analysis show that high intensity interval training, or HIIT, and moderate intensity cardio are both great for fat loss, but HIIT training could be better for waist circumference, percent fat mass, and VO2 peak. The authors also concluded that HIIT takes less time, is more enjoyable, which I know contradicts the study I just mentioned, so you're probably left scratching your head on what to do with all of this. What this really comes down to are a couple of factors. 1, what are you able to do long term? 2, what do you have capacity for? And 3, what do you enjoy? If you're new and decide to start off with 3 Tabata workouts a week for 8 weeks, you might be more challenged by the intensity and frequency than you thought and burn out after a couple weeks. Lighter steady state cardio might be best at this time. If you're an avid gym goer and have some experience with cardio, you might take a couple HIIT workouts a week for a spin and find this works best for you. Or you may be somewhere in the middle where you have some years of weightlifting under your belt, but your heart rate goes up at the very mention of the word cardio. The simple answer is to do whatever works best for you, and that could vary week to week. We often get in the headspace of all or nothing. Either we do HIIT sessions or steady state cardio. We have to stick with our decision for the unforeseen future. The fact of the matter is that we can mix and match as we need to. Obviously, you're going to be the least fatigued and most fresh and able to hit the ground running, pun intended, at the beginning of your fat loss phase. So you can opt for 2 HIIT sessions a week for 2 to 3 weeks. Then from weeks 4 to 6, you find yourself getting exhausted more easily, and you replace those HIIT sessions with moderate intensity cardio more often, such as 3 to 5 days a week. You get the advantages of both, and you can alter the intensity depending on your mood, sustainability, and enjoyment. The best of everything. Now, there are a million and one ways to do cardio. The obvious go-to cardio is running, but in the 21st century, we have the treadmill, stationary bike, elliptical, rower, swimming, the list goes on. The most important factors to consider are 1, the tolerance to your joints, and 2, your enjoyment. Sprinting can seem like a no-brainer for a HIIT session, but your knees and other joints might not tolerate it the best, especially in conjunction with your leg days. Rowing looks like a good option, but if your back is fatigued from a pull day and bending forward affects your ability, strength, and tolerance to do Romanian deadlifts the next day, this option goes out the window too. As you can tell, there are pros and cons to all forms of cardio. You have to be methodical about how you perform cardio in conjunction with what you're doing in the gym. For example, we can mix and match as we please, like we did with the HIIT and steady state cardio sessions. If you run a push-pull leg split on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that might look like doing hill sprints on Monday after your push day, so it doesn't affect your leg day on Wednesday. Then you can do another HIIT session on the stationary bike on Thursday, your next push day, to, again, limit the interference on your next leg day on Saturday. And pick cardio that you enjoy. Maybe you hike every weekend or join a beach volleyball league, or maybe you just really like running for some reason. Anyways, you are the expert in what works best for you. As long as you're getting your heart rate up and monitoring the impact on your joints and how that affects the rest of your training sessions, you're free to choose your mode of cardio. We can get in the weeds on exact protocols for HIIT training and steady states, but the gist of a HIIT session is that you exercise at a high intensity, which is 80 to 100% of your max, for 10 to 20 seconds, recover at a much lower intensity for 2 to 5 times as long, and repeat for anywhere from 6 to 12 rounds. Ease into it with 90% intensity for 10 seconds, lowering to about 30 to 40% for 50 seconds, and repeat for 6 to 8 rounds total. Stick with that for twice a week for 2 weeks, then progress either the length of the high intensity, example 10 seconds to 15 seconds, decreasing the recovery period, example 50 seconds to 40 seconds, or adding 2 more rounds, rinse, wash, and then repeat. The steady state cardio can literally be anything that gets your heart rate up. Walking, jogging, keeping a steady pace on the stationary bike or elliptical, shooting hoops, playing beach volleyball, going on a hike, use your imagination. Now, the timing of cardio and resistance training on the same day can have a substantial impact on your results. Generally speaking, doing cardio before your resistance training can fatigue you out, negatively affecting the amount of weight you lift and the number of reps you do. If you absolutely had to do cardio before you weightlift because your schedule doesn't allow otherwise, do your best to space them out 4 hours apart from each other. Otherwise, it's best to do cardio right after you lift weights. And some research shows that this has no interference on strength or muscle gains, disproving the myth that cardio affects your gains. Besides, pairing cardio right after lifting weights helps with time management as you are stacking activities together, which is a game-changing fitness hack in our busy lives. Cardio not only helps to burn calories, but improves tons of health markers, which a simple Google search can show. Mix and match cardio as you need to. See what works best for you and what you enjoy, and watch the results happen. If you want to see more content like this that not only helps to clarify what to do for the best results, but also how to be more efficient with it, check out my channel and click subscribe so you don't miss a video. I'll see you guys in the next one.